Hey, this is Steve from Bourbon, and I'm here on site at the Jack Daniels Brewery, Distillery, if you will. And I'm here for a tour today, and going to take a lot of pictures. I probably won't be videoing on the tour, but I may take some of that, and we'll see how it goes. But it's a beautiful day here in Tennessee, and we're going to have a look around, and then hopefully I'm going to buy a couple of bottles at the end of the day. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know what we get, and we'll have a look around. So, welcome to another edition of Bourbon, and I'm kind of flying solo today because I did a solo trip to Tennessee for some other reasons, but when I was in Tennessee, I was able to make it to Lynchburg, Tennessee, and that's where the Jack Daniels Distillery is. So I was able to get a tour of the distillery. Spent half the day there, and then was able to purchase some items at the end. And so just kind of go through a little bit of the day and how that was presented. So they wouldn't let you video or take pictures inside the buildings themselves, other than the visitor center, which you can get online and see a lot of the stuff that's in the visitor center. But I have a little bit of a video to kind of start the day, and then added in some pictures of what we saw. But basically, the day started off with getting tickets to the tour, and then as part of that, you could add in for $10 a Jack Daniels and Coke slushie, which was something I did add in, and which was very, very delicious. Part of the tour was really kind of walking through the process of how they make their whiskeys, if you will. And the thing to remember about Jack Daniels is that it is a bourbon recipe, and so when it first comes out of the distillery, or as a liquid, basically it is a bourbon. And because of their special processing, which everybody knows about, which is charcoal filtering, it becomes what they call a Tennessee sipping whiskey. So the recipe is bourbon, but because of the processing and some of the state laws in Tennessee on how things work, it's a Tennessee sipping whiskey. And so all their products are basically whiskeys that they call Tennessee sipping whiskeys. And so once we got in there, started the tour, they kind of walked us through how they create the charcoal, and they use a ton of charcoal for the filtering, and they burn the wood there, and they make the charcoal, and then they kind of grind it down into not a powder, but pretty small pieces. And I got a couple of pictures of what that charcoal looks like. And then they kind of walked us through where some of the main buildings are, and showed us some of the rick houses where the barrels reside, and they're doing all the aging. And what was really unbelievable to me is that any one of those houses can hold 1 million gallons in the barrels, and they have in that area, not necessarily right on that site, but in that area, they have 100 of those. So essentially 100 million gallons going on at any one time. And obviously some of that's being aged for 12 years, 10 years, 4 years, and on and on. And that's why they need so many of those buildings. But it was just pretty amazing to think through that. But we got in there and they showed us where they actually, starting like at 5 o'clock every night, they bring truckloads of grain in and dump it and then pump it into their grain bins, if you will. And then they have 3 different areas where they're actually distilling, right? Yeah, and so the grain is pumped up into the stills. There's 3 different stills, which I couldn't take pictures of, but we're able to walk back through the area where they actually do the charcoal filtering, which was really unique in that they had these huge bins, if you will. I forget how tall they are, maybe 30 foot of charcoal that they're just dripping this bourbon through. So they actually, we could look inside, and it was just little cross hatches of pipes that were just barely dripping all of this bourbon that had just come out of the stills, and they're doing all this filtering. And so that was really unique, and we were able to actually kind of lift up the top of it and really smell it, and boy, it was an amazing smell. And so, a couple of the things, we've talked about all the Jack Daniels stuff, but if you think about number 7 and then something like Gentleman Jack, which is everywhere, this is double mellowed, which means they run it through the charcoal twice, and so that's why they call it double mellowed. And that whole process of the charcoal is to mellow it out and take some of the bitterness out of their products, and that's why they do it. And so and that's not a trade secret. Everybody knows what's going on there. But it is a unique system that they have. And so we were able to go through there. They showed us a video on how they make the barrels. They do their own custom barrels, work with people to make them for them. And then obviously there was a bottling area that we were able to look through. And then they showed us into one of the rick houses, and we were able to go in there and look at all the barrels. And again, what a beautiful place! Great smells, to see all of those barrels and to see all that happening. The visitor center is really neat. A lot of history of stuff around Jack Daniels in there. We were able to see the water source, which is really kind of a key thing for them, and why Jack Daniels was able to invest in that area, and one of the reasons he bought this, because one of the key things, at least in their mind, and I'm assuming it's true, is that you want iron-free water, and so this water spring is limestone filtered. And so it's iron free, and they use it, right out of the ground, if you will, into their stills. And so pretty unique to see all of that and walk through all of that. And then afterwards, we were able to do some taste testing. They took us into a tasting room, if you will. Had these little glasses like this, and so this is from the White Rabbit bottle shop, and all of these things that I bought are from the White Rabbit bottle shop, which is right there at the distillery. And so we were able to taste, I think, 6 different whiskeys that they make. You know, starting with Old Number 7, we were able to do Gentleman Jack. We were able to do the, which I don't know if I have it here or not, but the cinnamon, yeah, the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire. And this one here, which was really, really good, Single Barrel Rye, which they also spent a lot of time with us in telling us how to do some of the taste testing and how their guys that actually do the tasting, how they do that. And hopefully here in the near future, we'll have a video on some of that information that I got, because you know, a lot of times you talk about Jack Daniels, they talk about what tastes, you know, the vanilla, you know, the big on the banana, and blah blah blah. But when I tasted this, the way they showed us how to do that, it was the biggest, boldest banana taste that I'd ever had. So really unique, really informative, and really, really fun. So anyway, this is what I was able to buy when I was there. And I could have bought a lot of things. They didn't, you know, obviously they didn't have JD10 or JD12. I asked them about that, and they said, oh, that only comes out once a year or whatever. So some storage stuff. I got the single barrel proof, which was one of the ones we also tasted there. You know, the single barrel rye, which was very, very good. And then I wanted to get another signature Sinatra to back up the one that I've got open, because you can find them around here, but this was the cheapest that I had seen by not a lot, but it was cheaper there than what I've seen even at like Costco or whatever. But very enjoyable time, very, very nice, and we'll do probably some cracks here on some of this stuff here in the near future. But I wanted to give you a brief overview of my trip into Lynchburg, and let you know what I did and what we saw and what I was able to buy. And again, whenever you can, like, subscribe, and join us on a regular basis, and say when.